Hey everybody, how are you? Krusty and Falla and Izzy and Sarah. I'm so glad you're all here. It's going to be fun tonight. And we've got cats everywhere, of course. Um, Sarah, thank you for letting Falla win. That was very nice of you. We got to let Falla win sometimes. It's only fair. Of course, Krusty was first, but we won't mention that, will we, Falla? No, you were not late, sweetheart. You were not. You were perfectly on time. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Matt, how are you? Okay, group. William will be along in just a bit. I made sure he knew we were going live. But we're going to have an interesting case tonight. Very gracious, Sarah. Yes, she did. I was trying to be nice to the both of you. Not this time, Matt. Falla got here before Sarah, so we got to give her the pats on the back. But we know Sarah's a winner too. Okay, you guys. Tonight, we're going to talk about the mystery of Khadijah Britton. And this is really an interesting case out of California. It's a sad case because we don't know what's going on with it. I mean, there's no resolution, and that's the one we don't like. But here we go, because we're all truth seekers and justice warriors. I'm your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice with my ride or die doc riding shotgun.
Oh.
And we're going to navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. And we're ready to shine some light on the forgotten stories society would rather leave buried. And today we're going to delve into the mystery of the missing. Hey, William. And those who vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions and heartbreak. So buckle up. The path ahead grows bumpy as we lead you into another section of this nightmare they call the justice system. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt needs a vacation. Oh, and he picked Arizona to perhaps take one in. That would be a very warm place to go. So let's go ahead and talk about who was Khadijah Britton. Khadijah Rose Britton was born on April 22nd, 1994, to parents Connie and Jerry Britton. She was a proud member of the Waki and Round Valley tribes in Covilla, California, known by the nickname Negie. Khadijah excelled in school and sports, particularly basketball. And where she was an all-star on her team, the Lady Mustangs, family members fondly remember her as the one who would always start games at family parties. They described her smile as one that could light up a room. And that could, despite all of this family support she had and a promising future, Khadijah was hesitant to leave home after graduation to pursue a career in college basketball. This economic situation in her community played a role because more than 41% of Covilla residents live below the poverty line. And at that time of her disappearance, the unemployment rate among the Round Valley tribe reached 86%. So like many in her community, Khadijah began partying after high school, which kind of led her into some circles she didn't need to be in. They were dangerous. So Khadijah, 23 years old now, and she's a member of the Waikiki tribe within the Round Valley Indian tribes there. And on February 7th, 2018, over 7 years later, Moo,
what's you doing?
Apparently Moo wants some attention. Moo, what are you doing? She remains missing despite extensive searches. The FBI has been involved. There's rewards totaling more than $100,000. The primary suspect is Negie Tony Fallis, 40 years old, and he remains the best person of interest according to Mendocino County Sheriff Matt Kendall. However, no charges have been filed in connection with her disappearance. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened. Negie Fallis he has an incarceration pattern, okay? Because he kind of likes jail. So he was released after 13 months in federal prison in September of 2022. And he returned to Mendocino County Jail to await court proceedings. A former office worker, the case started in March of 2022 that Fallis was likely to be out this December, indicating a pattern of repeat incarcerations on unrelated charges while avoiding prosecution for Khadijah's disappearance. Okay? Law enforcement's ongoing struggle was that Sheriff Kendall revealed in 2021 that they had put thousands of hours of investigative time into this case, which is really rare when it comes to cases on the reservation. He said, "We have hundreds of documented interviews, thousands of hours of searches, and we have searched so much that we began looking at the maps where we've searched to find locations where we haven't." The investigation's key challenges is silence from the community. Unfortunately, within the Native communities, they don't trust law enforcement, so they don't like to talk. The Mendocino County Sheriff's Office believes that someone in Round Valley area, they do have information on this crime. They're highlighting the ongoing challenges because the members won't talk to them or come forward with the information. But during Ballista-Dalson's sentencing, because she's the one that was with Khadijah and Fallis. And let's start right there, okay? Because there's this relationship between Khadijah and, we're just going to call him the nerd, nerdy boy, and their party circles. So Khadijah began a relationship with Nerdy Boy. He was 14 years her senior, and he grew up in the Round Valley tribes. But his background was troubled from the start. His mother was only 14 when she gave birth to him. His father was often absent, and he grew up in a household of at least 7 other siblings, where domestic violence was common. Nerdy Boy dropped out of high school and faced his first felony charge in 2000 for manufacturing meth. Winner. His criminal record expanded to include drug charges, weapon charges, disturbing child endangerment charges, involving babies surrounded by weapons and drugs and left to sit in their filth. So Khadijah's family believes that she stayed with Nerdy Boy partly because of his children. She did their laundry, she cooked for them, she fed the kids, she took care of them and took them back and forth to school. And her family watched her confidence dwindle with Nerdy Boy because he became really controlling and possessive. Her mother tearfully recalls her concern that his abuse might have turned physical. But Khadijah, of course, was, oh, it's fine, yeah, we're fine. But the domestic violence escalated on January 30th of 2018, when Khadijah's father and stepmother were horrified to find their daughter banging on their front door, hysterical and bloody. She had the family get on the floor screaming, "He's trying to kill me. Get the babies on the floor. He's going to shoot up the house." Now, isn't he lovely? Hey, Christina. Oh, awesome. We love New Zealand. Come on in and join us. Moo, quit walking on top of everything. Moo. Ugh. She is so naughty tonight. The Moo, go take your nap. You know you usually nap at this time. Oh my, she's being naughty. So Khadijah goes home. She's bloody and a mess. She's telling her family to get on the floor because Nerdy Boy. Oh, and Christine, since you're new, I will let you know that I only say the villain's name once, and then I make up a name, and we're calling him Nerdy Boy because he doesn't deserve to have a name. But according to the former officer Trent James, who worked the case, he said that Khadijah said he had beaten her after she tried to leave the relationship. He punched her, kicked her, and even used a hammer on her. Khadijah reported that Nerdy Boy had tried to drag her to his car at gunpoint, but she had escaped. She filed a restraining order and was given a new phone, new clothes, money for toiletries, and food. Her hearing was scheduled for February 5th of that year, and that was in 2018, remember? Okay? So Khadijah, at the last moment, withdrew her complaint. And her family really believes that Nerdy Boy probably told her that he would harm her siblings. And that would be one thing that she would protect. So what happened next was the deputy said that Nerdy Boy arrived at the friend's house where Khadijah was staying, armed with what appeared to be a small Dillinger pistol, and demanded his girlfriend exit the residence and speak with him. Now, witnesses indicate that Khadijah went to the residence where indicated this residence that there was a physical altercation that had occurred between them before they even entered a black Mercedes sedan driven by Nerdy Boy's fiance. Now, some people call her a girlfriend, but others call her his fiance. And her name's Antonia Bautista-Dalson. And they left the location. Now, I'm trying to figure out if you're even the girlfriend or the fiance, why would you be going after, you have this chick with you. Why are you going back after Khadijah? That doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, because he looks like a prize.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a winner all the way around. I mean, come on. You old geezer. But the critical witness account.
Hey, now, I'm an old geezer, so.
No, you're my ride or die, Doc.
Oh, okay.
I love you. He's a geezer. He's a meth head. We don't like him. So according to former Officer Trent James, who worked on the case, he shared a detailed 47-minute video about this investigation in March 2022. And he spoke to the driver, Antonia Bautista-Dalson, who was Nerdy Boy's fiance, supposedly at the time. She told police that eventually she let Nerdy Boy and Khadijah out of the vehicle, and that about a half hour after she let them out, Nerdy Boy called her crying, saying he screwed up. James emphasized that no credible witnesses has ever seen Khadijah after this point. Okay, so here's my question. The police go and they start searching where this chick says she left Khadijah and Nerdy Boy. But they're going on her word. Moo, behave.
Come on.
I am sorry. She is just vocal tonight. She's a naughty girl. You don't like Nerdy Boy either? Okay. She doesn't like Nerdy Boy either, you guys. So, I mean, that there's something fishy about that whole thing there. So she drives them out somewhere, lets them out, and then she takes off. He calls her a half hour later crying, saying he screwed up. And it said law enforcement, they did an extensive search. They had close to 75 searchers. They had National Guard members, helicopters, 6 dogs, and they did a large-scale search operation for her. And then in March of 2019, authorities even drained a pond on Round Valley Indian tribal lands after cadaver dogs showed interest, but they didn't find any human remains. Former Officer Trent James revealed that 40-plus search warrants were served during this investigation. A shallow grave was discovered at Nerdy Boy's mom's house containing a cell phone, according to James, in 2022. But James noted the jurisdictional issues between agencies may have hindered the investigation's effectiveness. Mo, come here. Let me give her a treat because she is not giving up tonight. Usually she gets in her basket and takes a nap, but not tonight. There you go. Have a treat. Be a good girl. So that could have been, I mean, because we've talked about that before with the reservations. They know that they don't all get along and they don't all share information. So legal proceedings hit obstacles. Nerdy Boy was charged with assault, kidnapping, first-degree burglary, threats to commit a crime resulting in death of significant bodily injury, attempted murder, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. And that sounds great. But then the authorities were forced to drop most of the charges due to lack of evidence. And that's where you lose me, because I'm like, if the fiance said, I dropped him off, he had a gun, he had her, he told me he screwed up and we've never seen her again, that's circumstantial evidence. I don't know why they couldn't have gone ahead and done something. I don't know. The DA might not have been willing to do it. So only a successful prosecution that came out was that Nerdy Boy was sentenced to 4 years in state prison for being a felon in possession of a firearm. And he only served 15 months of that sentence. Gotta love California. Antonia Bautista-Dalson's sentence, his fiance, who drove the getaway car, was sentenced to 18 months in county jail, followed by 18 months of supervised probation, plus 6 months of residential drug treatment. And they have people that witnessed you kidnap her. Why they could not get them on kidnapping, I don't know. But during sentencing, prosecutors revealed disturbing details that while Nerdy Boy was in prison awaiting trial, Bautista-Dalson promised to help him acquire a firearm upon release so he could come out like a MF to find the leak in their team. So that means that they thought somebody said something. You're right, William. DAs don't like to take risks. And the district attorney was David Eisner. And he argued this showed her ongoing role in planning violent retaliation against potential witnesses. But you did nothing. Right there, they could have got her for interfering with the investigation. Ugh. I tell you, sometimes you just want to go around and just slap people on the back of the head. They don't have common sense. But one thing let's think about is with the community, with the Native community and the historical context, because there really is a different reality. I know a lot of people, when they think about the reservations, they think of people that have addictions, and they think of how we know that the women are abused by all different men on and off the reservation. And they think that that's something that's normal. It's not. There's a different reality here, you guys. And to understand the crisis that faces the Native women today, it says we must first acknowledge what was lost. Before European contact, abuse and domestic violence were rare in tribal communities. Because according to Amnesty International and a lot of scholars, rape and violence against women were uncommon to non-existent in most tribes. Native women were highly valued. They played a crucial role in tribal life. They served as the backbone of their communities. They were respected for their roles as healers. They were caretakers. They were protectors. Some were warriors. They were leaders who maintained their culture. They protected their families. So abuse was not something that the Native men would commit against the women. But the Colonial Transformation, when that came about, there was a dramatic change. And that was because once Columbus hit ground, the Native women became the central element in the colonial strategy for conquest and genocide. Women were targeted because they knew that they were able to sustain the tribe through childbearing. So if you don't want the tribe to continue to grow, you have to stop it. The systematic rape of Native women began with the Spanish during Columbus's 1492 voyage, and the colonial legacy of violence has left deep scars that continue to normalize and fuel the high levels of abuse against the Native women today. You know, this is that history that's coming back at us, and there was more of it with the residential schools. So these are the things that have caused such a terrible situation on a lot of the reservations. So the devastating scope of today's crisis, there's 84.3% of American Indian and Alaskan Native women who have experienced violence in their lifetime. The murder rate of these women is almost 3 times that of a non-Hispanic white woman. Non-Native perpetrators commit 97% of the violence against women, directly connecting to the colonial legacy. But there is a lot that happens within their own community. And from 2021 to 2023, law enforcement reported 25,817 incidences of violent crime against Native, Indigenous women, and Alaskan Native females. And that's what was reported. They don't like to report to the authorities. So we can only imagine how big that number really is. But let's think about the crisis with Khadijah's case, because it's an epidemic. The banners display her photo and missing flown at NFL games at Mount Rushmore and commonly seen on bumper stickers throughout Northern California. Her disappearance represents the modern manifestation of historic trauma that the Native communities continue to endure. The family's ongoing plan, living with uncertainty. Khadijah's brother, Gerald Bam Britton III, was 15 when she disappeared. He's 18, attending Northwest Indian College on a basketball scholarship. He's fulfilling the dreams his sister once had of being on the basketball team. We all knew she'd do great things, her Aunt Laura Betts told Dateline. We never thought she would be one of the many faces of the MMIW. Frustration with investigations, family members say they are disappointed with law enforcement's handling of the case, with Aunt Laura Betts saying they put us in a database and then nothing is done or followed up on. But when you can't get anyone to talk, that doesn't help either. The current reward and contact information, the FBI is offering $10,000 for information leading to an arrest and a conviction. An anonymous donor actually has offered $85,000 for information leading up to finding Khadijah. Family fundraising, additional $25,000 for information leading to conviction. The Mendocino County Sheriff's Office at 707-463-4411. The FBI office in San Francisco at 415-553-7400. And there's a tip line at 707-234-2100. There's another anonymous tip line that's 1-800-78-CRIME. So, they just want to have some answers because they don't want to know where Khadijah's body is. Despite the extensive searches covering thousands of acres, her remains have never been found. What happened after the car ride? The last incredible count places Nerdy Boy and Khadijah being dropped off somewhere, with Nerdy Boy calling his accomplice, crying and saying he screwed up. Well, who else knows? Law enforcement consistently emphasizes their belief that the community members have information they're just not sharing. Will we ever get justice for Khadijah? The family wants closure. They want to bury her. Khadijah would be 31 years old if she were alive today, but her family knows it's unlikely she'll be found alive after all these years. And why does this case matter? Because it's so long ago? Because Khadijah represents more than one missing person case. It's become a rallying call for addressing violence against Indigenous women and the failures that allow these perpetrators to evade justice. They said the disappearance of Khadijah Britton has galvanized the MMIW movement in Mendocino County. Her case demonstrates how domestic violence can escalate to murder, how community silence can enable perpetrators, and how legal technicalities can prevent justice when everybody knows who's responsible. I mean, can you imagine being in the same community and having to look at Nerdy Boy walk by and not do anything to him? Ugh. 7 years later, someone still knows what's happened to Khadijah. The question remains, when will they find the courage to speak? Because if more than one person shares a secret, eventually someone's going to talk. Let's just hope it's soon. But Khadijah's disappearance, it breaks your heart what's happened to her. And we'll keep our eyes out to see if anything happens with this case. But, women aren't the only ones. There's also missing is Dwayne Ryan Thomas. And he was last seen on March 4th in 2011 in Indian Wells, Red Mesa, Arizona. This is what happened to Dwayne. He was 30 years old, and him and his girlfriend are driving home from a dance in the early morning hours. They're on Route 160, east of Red Mesa, Arizona, at the 450-mile marker, when Dwayne becomes ill. They pull over. Dwayne walked off into the desert. He never came back. He was 30 years old at the time, brown hair, brown eyes, his sideburns and a mustache and a goatee. Nicknames Wayne or Wayne. Newcomb, he was from Newcomb, New Mexico. The family's desperate search. His family has been searching the desert for years. Groups of men with walking sticks, shovels, and boards have been combing the mesa, and the area they describe as looking like a graveyard. They keep their eyes down, searching every inch of the red sandstone terrain, and they're still doing it to this day. Dwayne called his mother at least twice a week, and he never contacted her again after March 4th. His family didn't report him missing until March 29th, hoping he would come home. But his family needs help. Dwayne Ryan Thomas you can contact the Navajo Nation Police Department at 928-674-2000. One of the interesting things was they said he was with his girlfriend, but in another place I read that he was having issues with his common law wife. So I don't know if it's the same person. But they said the common law wife was not cooperating. So if she's the one that said this is where we were when he walked off, that could be a fabrication. She could be a liar. They could be looking in the wrong place. And that breaks my heart. But, something to think about. Our next missing person is Kiana Buffalo. She was last seen April 15th of 2025. Now her phone, the reason because we've shown her before, but her phone is now pinging in Louisville, Kentucky. So they're saying, help us. She's 16, female, brown eyes, brown hair, 5'8", 130 pounds. Her case number is M as in Michael, 668387-220. She was last seen, she disappeared from Rapid City, South Dakota, and now her phone's pinging in Louisville, Kentucky. And she was last seen on April 15th. So let's hope somebody sees her, and gets in touch with the Rapid City Police Department at 605-394-4131. I mean, because come on, at least we got a phone pinging. We don't get a lot of that, so let's go with that one. And we got two different pictures because her hair is kind of curly, but in the latest one, they show her as a blonde. So, with women, you got to look at the hair color. Now, our next one is Danis Keeper. She's up from Winnipeg. So the Bear Clan Patrol is the unit that's handling this, and she's only 14. And she was last seen on June 1st of 2025 at noon at the 1200 block of Lee Boulevard. So let's hope that they can find her quickly. She's 5'4", weighs 120 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. And so they said, contact the Bear Clan group or at 204-986-6250. They also have their anonymous Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. And so let's hope that one comes back soon. Sometimes when they're young like that, they get them back quicker. We hope. Then we have Cassandra Unsolved. She's been missing since April of 26 of 2025. And she's missing from Spokane, Washington. She's 35, female, native, brown eyes, black hair, 5'3", 120 pounds. And the Montana Missing Persons Clearinghouse is the number to call at 406-444-2800, or the Tribal Police at 406-675-4700. They said with Cassandra, she contacted her family on May 14th. So she was last seen April 26th. But she did contact her family on May 14th, stating she was stuck in Spokane and needed money to return home. But nobody has heard or seen from her since. So, and she's with the Flathead tribe. So the Flathead Tribal Police are trying to find her. We have another woman named Christine Bruce. She's 44. She was seen a week ago on Tuesday, May 27th at 10 p.m. at BIA Road 10 in Belcourt. Her bike was found in the ditch the next day. That doesn't sound good. Bruce is 5 foot 3 inches tall and only weighs 110 pounds. Brown eyes, brown hair. She has a tattoo of a 4-leaf clover on the right side of her neck with the name Alicia on it. If you got any information, Belcourt Police Department, 701-477-6134. Yeah. Because sometimes when we're looking through Facebook, if you're into the true crime, you might check out some of the Jane and John Does. And sometimes tattoos can be important in identifying people. Our next one is Jordan Arapaho. He's been missing since May 4th. He's only 15. The Sioux Falls Police Department at 605-367-7000 is looking for him. He's male, brown eyes, black hair, 5'5", 130. So that's our missing people that we're looking for, you guys. What are your thoughts? Where do you think the thing with Khadijah? You know? Because I think we all know Nerdy Boy did it. It's just where on earth did they dispose of her? And the sad thing is, they could have put her someplace, but then when they were released, they moved her.
Well, if he didn't do it, he definitely had something to do with it. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, he was the last one seen with her.
Yeah.
But then I don't trust a word that his fiance.
His girlfriend is.
Yeah, she's just a
suspect too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, William. I really think that those two did something to her. And that's one thing. Some of these women, they get in fights over men. It's not worth it. If you have to fight for a man, you guys, he's not your man. Because if the guy is yours, he's not going to put you in that position. You got to think about that. Because once a guy is yours, you don't have to be fighting for him. And that's just, it's not worth it. You got to find someone that cares just as much for you as you do for him. We got to stop all the crime, the abuse, even the child abuse. I was online today with on Facebook, and up in South Dakota, they're having some issues with some of the people on the reservation that are chomos, and that family is not getting rid of them, that they're letting them hang around. You can't be doing that. Once a pedophile, always a pedophile. They're not changing their spots.
They're not disappearing.
No, instead it's all these women or young boys. And that just makes you wonder, because, some of the family is like, well, they had, they did it so long ago. That means they knew how not to get caught. It doesn't mean they've stopped or they've changed. They need to be gone. And they need to not be letting them hang out around the children on the reservation. You got to protect your children. You can't be having house parties and having your children in the house going to bed and you don't check on them, because that's when some of these things have been happening. So you have to be responsible parents. You have to stop the cycle, because once these children get abused again, what's going to happen? You just keep this cycle going and going. At the elementary school in the school district I work for. Oh my God. You mean he's still teaching? Oh, William.
Yikes.
See, that's wrong. If he's been arrested, why is he still in the school? Oh, that's creepy. That is creepy. I mean, you got to protect these kids. I understand, Izzy. It's hard. That's why you get your circle of close people that you can trust, and keep it tight. Keep it small. Whenever there's goings on and you have children involved, you got to be the parent, or make sure the kids are somewhere safe. Well, I hope they can convict him. That's the next thing.
What?
Because sometimes some of the states are not as good as they should be at convicting some of these child abusers. But we've got to stop the violence. It's got to stop. People got to be nice to each other. Yeah, I would too, really. And truthfully, William, I'd be more worried about some of these female teachers. Lord have mercy, I have got a list of them. One of these days, we'll do a whole thing on some of these psycho women. I don't know what their issue is. That is just wrong. I, they're mentally nuts.
Yeah, a lot of times you think of the guys being the, as William is saying, a bad apple. It's the women too.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah. No, you're right, Doc. I totally agree with that. And the sad thing is, they are still not convicting the women and giving them the sentences they would if they were a man. And that's where I have an issue. If you're going to do the same crime as a dude and you're going to scar a child for life, because I don't care if the boy is 15, 16, I don't care. He is a child. And you have no right having a relationship with them. And if you do, you need to do serious time and you need to be on the registry the rest of your life, because there's no excuse for that. There's none. Because half of these women that do it are either married or engaged or have boyfriends. So yeah, they need to be locked up just as long as you would lock up a man. I'm sorry, it needs to be done.
well at that point, they if they have other relationships, it's not because they are attracted to something's mental going on where they're um there's got to be a screw loose somewhere. I mean,
Major malfunction.
yeah,
Well, there's something wrong. As JD would say, the wood chipper would take care of it, because that's just what they do to these children. And that's a lot of what's happened on these reservations, is from what has happened in the residential schools. And I've got to do some research on that so we can have a whole thing on that. Yep,
yeah,
I agree, William. We're going to get a wood chipper.
yep.
I,
Yeah, just like with the men and women, they always talk about the guys having you know um, a head trip, or possibly having small man syndrome, whatever it is. Um, who who's to say that those kind of things can't transition to a female?
oh, they do.
I mean, it's
I mean, the biggest mistake I think they make is because they don't think it has anything to, that he's a young man and he probably thinks he's really cool because he's, messing with his teacher. Do you know how screwed up they're going to be for other relationships when they get older, because they're not ready for that kind of a thing
yep.
with a teacher? It's wrong. Ah, Doc, they like it when you contribute.
Thanks, guys.
He has deep thoughts.
They're deep somewhere. I got a shovel to get them out.
No, you don't. But no, I totally agree. We should be a duo. He's a little bashful. But no, I agree with Doc, because there's something wrong with these women. They're freaks. I mean, they're just freaks. But Khadijah's case, the vanish into the void of silence, leaving families to wonder, investigators to chase ghosts, and communities to live with the weight of the unspoken truths. In the wilderness of injustice where we find ourselves, every voice matters. Every piece of information could be the key that brings someone home. And I pay attention to these missing posters, because they do have people that, they find Jane and John Doe's all the time. In fact, I posted one on our Discord server, you guys, where they found a man. I think it was a man in Ohio, wrapped up in a tarp in the river. And what they have is some tattoos. So if somebody knows someone missing, that's sad when that's how you have to identify somebody.
Mm. And guess what, guys? It wasn't a mannequin.
And it wasn't a mannequin. Nope. It never is. But every killer relies on our silence. Every predator counts on our communities looking the other way. So don't be the reason we share another story like Khadijah's on this channel. If you know something about her disappearance or any missing person case, speak up. Because she was just a young woman with dreams, a family who really loved her. She was a human being who deserved to come home. And so that's what we need to think about. Next Sunday at 8 o'clock, we're going to be talking about some current cases. Sarah wanted to talk about the psycho up there in Washington that count on Dr. Dre to bring the wood chippers. Woohoo!
Wood chippers are us.
But we'll talk about the guy that murdered his 3 little girls. And they want to say that he has some PTSD and some bipolar, borderline something, but he murdered 3 little girls. So we'll talk about that on Sunday. I also have another case that we'll talk about up there in Nova Scotia, the 2 little kids that are missing, and so far they have not been found. And that's the little Sullivan kids. That is a really strange one too. I thought by now they'd find something. But so we're going to talk about them on Sunday. If you guys ever have a suggestion or want to know about a case, hey, let us know. If you want to eventually, because what I foresee with our server or our Discord server is I want it where we start looking for some of these, Jane Does. Let's look at them. Let's see if we can match people up. Find out dates. Find out if there were missing people in the area. Because let's do a little investigative work. I think we can do it. We're all brilliant people. And we all care because that's why we listen. Because we have an interest in wanting to see some justice. But I love you guys for coming. And until next time, I want you all to stay informed, be compassionate, and seek justice. Remember, someone knows what happened to Khadijah. The question is, will they find the courage to speak up before another family has to join this nightmare? And if anyone doesn't have the Discord server, you can always email me. My email's up here under the description. So go ahead and we'll get you on the Discord server with us so you can hang out.
I'll put a link.
Oh, it's actually there.
No, on the video itself.
Oh, for the Discord server?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
see,
but
Doc's smart.
That only lasts for like 24 hours, but I mean it will be there.
Okay.
So
see, he's the smart one. I always said I married him for pretty, because I did, but he actually turned out to be the smartest dude I know. So that's pretty cool. Oh, okay. Mods can post links.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, girls. I'll let you do it. Let's keep our little Krista on our mind. She's still not feeling well. But I love y'all, and I'll see you around the Discord server, guys. Ciao. I love how Moo got quiet. Little brat cat. But she's not in her bed.